Alright, John. So we're gonna be watching a couple videos today. And if you don't watch this, I don't know what to say. What? Oh, well, let me see.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Verbal Ace, beatboxer from outer space. I just want to say thank you so much for supporting my channel. Before we begin with this episode, make sure you click that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I post some brand new videos. Thanks again, and please enjoy this new episode of Cartoon Beatbox Battles.
And it's actually the new beginning of because if you have like the other one, Deadpool
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting round of the Cartoon Beatbox Battles.
Black Panther beat Batman.
Last time on Cartoon Beatbox Battles, things got a little messy with Patrick and Goofy. Goofy's performance was a little clumsy, but he was still able to showcase some impressive dance moves, all while dissing his opponent at the same time. But Patrick, almost forgetting his routine, has displayed some very unique beatboxing skills, throwing up at the end of his performance. You guys voted, and Patrick will be going on to the next round. Does this mean I get to order now? This is not a restaurant, Patrick. I don't have... 3, 2, 1, go!
Look at me now, look at me now, look at me now, you're just a hater.
Alright, we're gonna be.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Verbal Ace, beatboxer from outer space. I just want to say thank you so much for supporting my channel. Before we begin with this episode, make sure you click that...
Oh, no, go back. I just hate when that.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Verbal Ace, beatboxer from outer space.
So we gonna be seeing this.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Verbal Ace, beatboxer from outer space. I just want to say thank you so much for supporting my channel. Before we begin with this episode, make sure you click that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I post some brand new videos. Thanks again, and please enjoy this new episode of Cartoon Beatbox Battles. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting round of the Cartoon Beatbox Battles. Last time on Cartoon Beatbox Battles, the smack talking got real with Deadpool and Deadshot. Deadshot's entrance and performance was amazing. He beatboxed, dissed him, and brought out some high-tech weapons to show that he wasn't playing around. But Deadpool was playing around, bringing his own arsenal, his mouth, making fun of Deadshot in every way, breaking the fourth wall, breaking relationships, and breaking wind. You guys voted, and Deadpool will be going on to the next round.
Thank you all so much. I want to thank Logan for believing in me, and I also want to thank Dora the Explorer for bringing me my chimichangas, and lastly, I want to thank Deadshot.
What? Why?
For making this too easy.
Too easy? I'll show you too easy.
And here we go again.
Sorry about that. We had a little technical problem, but we're back. Today's battle is between another two characters with a lot of similarities. They're both skilled in multiple styles of martial arts. They both have a secret high-tech base. They both have a lot of money, and they're gonna hook a brother up.
I don't think so.
In this corner, weighing 185 pounds and 6 feet tall, he's super agile, has enhanced speed and strength, and a suit that can absorb the momentum of any impact. He is the king of the Wakanda tribe. Today we have the Black Panther.
Please, go get the job.
I don't think think I could save T'Challa. In this corner, weighing 210 pounds and a height of 6 foot 2 inches, you can't hide because do I have to read all this? You can't hide because he's a master detective with over 10 styles of martial arts training. He strikes fear into all those who oppose him. He is vengeance. He is the knight. He is Batman.
What? You're too dramatic. You're not dramatic enough. I don't need to be.
But I'm going to be by starting the battle. Are you guys ready? Beatbox battle. Okay, Black Panther, you're going up first.
Usually the pawns go before the king, but okay.
Okay, here we go in 3, 2, 1, go!
In Wakanda, they know how to party. In Wakanda, we know how to party. But Gotham City is never safe. Where's the protector? Gotham City is a bad place. Cause he can never stop Hey, look, this little Batman. What is Batman? What is that, man? And you making people sunburn from the bad light, cause they can't die. Always bringing little bad toys, all just bad boys, which is so annoying. King, you can't even beat a clown, so how are you supposed to beat the king? In Wakanda, we know how to party. In Wakanda, we know how to party. But Gotham City is never safe. Gotham City is a bad place. But we can never stop
Wow, that sounded amazing.
It was too soft. It's either go hard or go home. You're the one going home today, Guanu.
Never mind, Batman, never mind. But if you want to get some vengeance, you can do it now in 3, 2, 1, go! But I think I have a small headache from all that head banging.
Wait a minute, you said mine was cooler. It doesn't matter. Now he likes mine, right?
It's not up to me, it's up to them. So let us know in the comments below on which one of these characters you guys think won the battle. Thank you for watching Cartoon Beatbox Battles. I'm Verbal Ace, and
I'm Batman. He's Guanu. What does Guanu mean?
Alright, next we're about to watch something that give me nightmares. For real. That's the wrong. And I ain't getting no notifications on this, and I'm subscribed. What is this? Is like this is a channel that give me nightmares.
Hi audience, it's your Auntie
it's more
Sapphire.
specific
After
when
this
they give me
episode,
that
you
word.
can hear more stories over on the Something
think
Scary
it's on this one.
podcast.
I think it's
Google and
on,
Android users
Llama
can
Art.
listen for free on Google Podcasts or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. The links are in the description below. Hey, I'm Sapphire. Want to hear something scary? The following is based on a famous ghost story in Thailand about a woman who would do anything to keep her marriage with her husband alive. In the Phra Nakhon district of Thailand in the mid-1800s, there lived a woman called Mai Na, who was deeply in love with her husband, Tin Ma. When Mai Na was 8 months pregnant, Tin Ma was drafted to fight in the war. He was heartbroken to know he wouldn't be there for the birth of their child. What if something happens to me? I can't stand the thought of leaving you and our baby alone. Don't worry, my love. You will return home safely, and we will both be here to greet you when you do. And so, Tin Ma left, feeling hopeful, but still understandably terrified. A few months later, he was able to return home, excited to see his wife and to meet his child. But when he arrived at his village, his neighbor Kiet approached him. "You need to leave." "Excuse me? Please get out of my way. I need to see my family." "You should not go in that house. You don't want to know the terrible things that have happened while you were away. Your wife, she's not who you think she is. It's better for both of you if you leave. You don't want to be with her anymore." Tin Ma was incredibly offended. "How dare you imply that my wife was not faithful to me while I was away? Now please move." Tin Ma, being much bigger and stronger than Kiet, shoved past him with ease. He knew his wife. He knew that she would never do anything to hurt their relationship. Carefully, he opened the door. There was Mai Na, cradling their healthy baby. They exchanged a deep hug and began to catch up. "Can you believe that Kiet tried to make me think that you had been unfaithful while I was gone? Pathetic, isn't it?" "Yes, very. What a silly old man." For the next few weeks, everything was perfect. Between Tin Ma and Mai Na, at least. Whenever Tin Ma went into the village, he could feel the stares and hear the whispers of his neighbors. "Do you think he knows? I can't believe he's still living with her. It's just so sad. Kiet is probably spreading rumors," he thought to
You gave
himself.
it to me.
No.
He decided to confront him about it. So he went to his house and knocked on the door.
What
No
is it?
answer. He knocked again, but it was clear he wasn't there. So he went back home. Mai Na was in the kitchen making lunch. "Have you seen Kiet lately?" Tin Ma asked. "No, why do you ask, my love?" "I thought he might be spreading rumors about you, and I wanted to tell him to stop." "Oh, don't worry about him, dear. I already spoke with him. He won't be bothering us again." Mai Na continued to prepare lunch while her husband waited patiently in the dining room. He watched lovingly from afar, just happy to be in his home with his family. Mai Na dropped a lime on the ground, and it fell between the gap in the floorboards. Tin Ma watched as Mai Na bent down and reached right through the floorboards to pick it up. He couldn't believe his eyes. Did he just see what he thought he saw? He looked over at his baby daughter. Suddenly, everything felt very wrong. Mai Na looked up and saw her husband staring in disbelief at her. "Is something wrong, my love?"
She's not who you think she is.
"What did you do to Kiet? You seem upset, my dear. Come here." He had to get out of that house, and so he ran, but he could hear his wife's voice yelling in anger. "You promised to always love me! Come back!" He turned his head to see that the woman he once loved had grown into a massive, angry spirit, wreaking havoc on the village. Tin Ma made it to the nearby temple and quickly told one of the monks to help him stop his wife. This monk was extremely powerful, and when Mai Na reached the temple, he was able to capture and trap her spirit into a jar. And that jar was kept in the royal family, passed down from heir to ensure that Mai Na was never released. Today, you can visit this temple in Thailand, where a shrine to Mai Na is kept. Visitors from around the world offer gifts and flowers in order to keep her spirit at ease. For who knows what will happen if she ever gets out again. Want more Something Scary? You can hear more stories over on the Something Scary podcast.
But this one
Google
don't
and
really
Android
matter.
users can listen for free on Google Podcasts
Not this
or
one.
wherever you listen to your favorite shows. The links are in the description below. If you'd like to submit a story,
So this
send an
video is
email
gonna
to
be
somethingscary@snarl.com. Like and share this.
No, nigga. Yeah, it's Llama Arts.
There we go, back up. Don't remember.
Well, we gonna watch it.
Wait, keep it on there. I'm gonna come back. Oh, please.
You already know. You already know what happened.
Brutes, come out of your hole and beat the living black as coal. Brutes, come out of your hole and beat the living black as coal.
Terry, we've been watching for like an hour. Are you sure this is the way?
She knows where she's going, Ben. Brutes, go back in the hole and spare the living one more soul.
Stop it, Mats. Should we really be doing this? There's a reason the story tells us to stay away from it, right?
Terry's dad is in the high order, Ben. I think she would know.
Terry.
Probably just a story, Ben. Don't pee your pants again.
Whoa.
Who's going to open it?
Just had to. You wanna know the one thing? They always pick on the nerd. They always want the nerd to do something because they know the nerd is gonna do something, do anything in order to fit in. But no lie, I would've did the same thing. I wouldn't win. If I saw that, I wouldn't win. I would've been had a nerd do that. But I've been like trying to refuse a little bit, but kind of join. You know what I'm saying?
I knew he wouldn't do it. Hey, Ben, Carrie said she'd give you a kiss if you do it.
Yeah, shut up, Max. No, I didn't.
See, a nerd. He would have did that for that. I try to do more than, you know. I'm gonna keep it kid friendly. How he out of energy for 2 swings? Really, nigga?
At least he tried. Maybe if you're nice enough, it'll just open by itself.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Ben, did he try asking it?
Yeah, please, Brute, come out of your hole and beat the living black as coal. Whoa.
going to open it?
Dude, I just gonna come on and sit on. Man, move.
I'm sorry for smashing, bro.
You gay, bro. You gay.
No homo. That did sound kind of gay, bro.
Why did you smash him?
You gay, KJ.
I don't know.
You a homo. You won't think like that. I wasn't even thinking like that, bro.
Well, it didn't sound right.
How?
Hey, y'all, my nephew Karan, the homo, y'all.
How the hell we right?
I'm saying, why you
Ben?
recording? He ain't whore, y'all. This nigga right here. Yeah. I can't do it. This nigga right here, he is not whore. I'm trying to talk about something sometimes.
That means that I'm not weak. If I fight back, that don't mean that I'm weak.
You fight back if you can fight. Don't feel like this. This nigga was.
They already see my face. They see my face. I ain't scared to show my face.
Y'all want to see y'all real niggas.
Man, you always trying to show. Man, you not as hard as me.
Nigga, I'm harder than you.
No, you not.
Nigga, it's the paper. Man, you like this, don't you? You like this.
Shit, you talk about running from niggas in the van.
Nigga,
Yeah,
cause they is.
I stay there and fight.
Well,
Hey, nigga, you
that's running for a van. That's a life or death situation. I'm not finna get my body part sold. I need every last single organ, and everything. I need every last single organ inside of my body.
Well, you gonna run though. You gonna run.
Nigga, I'm small.
Yeah, you was soft little nigga.
I ain't soft, bro.
Go ahead, put this shit on camera. We feel let them see you fight. You wanna.
They want to be able to see the whole thing.
Exactly.
They won't be able. Look, they won't be able to see the whole thing. Yeah, see? Hold up. They won't even be able to see the whole thing. And I'm trying to keep the video short. I ain't trying to make it long.
You trying to get your views up, right? Come get your ass beat up so your views can go up. Yeah, I told y'all, nigga, he not hard like he say he did. He just try to act hard for the camera, y'all.
No, cause I'm not soft. I ain't soft.
You soft, bro.
No, I'm not.
Bro, you soft.
No, I'm not.
Bro, you soft.
No, I'm not.
You heard what I said.
You heard what I say. I ain't soft.
Come do something. Come.
Ooh, bro.
Hey, wait. Hey.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, my nephew trying to put the camera up.
Got you going. I ain't going down easy.
Yo, you ain't going down easy. You gonna make your brother go down. Y'all, my nephew ain't soft, y'all. He hard. I give it to him even though he can't fight. But he ain't no pussy though, y'all. I know that much. He ain't running from nobody but the old man's in that truck.
And I want that one video.
Let's go. Yeah, I did say
What else? What was it?
Burn out your motherfucking teeth with your motherfucking throat.
Dude! No one said that! Wow.
What the headphones you let me use?
They got smacked with some money, nigga.
No!
You is mine.
No, let go! Let go! They want me! But
These niggas talking about the shush man.
small nigga.
I am in my mid-40s.
This is what happened nearly 20 years ago. One day, I visited one of my friends at his apartment, which was very old and shabby. There was an entrance to an elevator in the center of the corridor. I can't remember well, but my friend lived in Unit 701 or 801 on the 7th or 8th floor. So looking at the apartment building from outside the main entrance, his house was on the far left end. One summer day, my friend said he was alone and didn't have any plans. So we called two of our friends and had a drinking party. The four of us had been drinking since the early evening, and just before passing out, we all lied on the floor, turned the lights off, and started talking. While talking to each other, a beam of street light entered through the window and was shining on the ceiling. I guess the street lights on the first floor of the apartment complex were on. Of course, we were talking while gazing at the ceiling. All of a sudden, the white ceiling turned black, as if something covered up the light. At that moment, we looked out the window while crouching down. Someone with a creepy vibe was hanging on a steel bar outside the window. Since the light was shining from behind that person, we could not see his face clearly. Then, after making an unidentifiable gesture, he smiled, showing his white teeth without making a sound. We were so shocked at that moment that we stopped talking and were frozen with silence. Suddenly, one of us picked up an empty bottle of wine and ran toward the window shouting, "Kill that bastard!" But the creepy guy had disappeared. After a few minutes, we went out of the apartment to see where he had gone, but we could not find him. We could only hear his stomping footsteps and assumed he entered the corridor and went down the stairs. Going down the stairs is the only way that stomping sound could be made. It sounded like he descended to the first floor and was walking around, so we followed down the stairs looking for him, but quickly returned to the apartment, still filled with fear. At first, we thought it must have been a robber or some crazy guy laughing in front of the window. But when we came back to our friend's house, we were all shocked. The distance between the end of the corridor and the window of our friend's apartment was too long for someone hanging onto the steel window bar to jump across. Only a crazy person would try and fall to their death. Ordinary people can't even hold on to the steel bar. We thought that maybe someone had committed suicide by jumping from the roof of the apartment and caught the steel bar while falling. So we went down to the first floor to see if a body was there, but there wasn't a single trace. After that experience, I never visited his house again. I am a 19-year-old male, and this happened many years ago when I was very young. To give you an idea of the layout of our house back then, the living room has multiple windows that directly look out onto the back garden. There's a big gate in our driveway to stop anyone from getting in. Next to the living room is the kitchen, which also has more windows, but also the back door. This will be relevant to the story. So my mother was completing the household chores as she does one day. I was sitting in the living room watching television on the sofa with my back to the windows. All of a sudden, I saw a figure reflecting off of the picture frame hanging on the wall opposite the window. I asked my mom if my dad was back from work, to which she said no. I'll never ever forget the look of horror on her face when I told her that yes, he was. He's in the garden. She looked outside the window and almost had a heart attack when she saw a scruffy-looking but fairly built man outside the living room window. This didn't seem to faze him at all, though. He psychotically smiled at my mother through the glass, and my mom asked him what he was doing on our property. He said nothing, with the same sadistic smirk on his face.
She said that she was going to call the police, and what he said is one of the scariest things I've ever heard. He screamed at my mother through the glass that if she even got her phone out, that he would break the glass. She did not know what to do. She paused and tried to rapidly think of what to do next, how to keep us both safe.
Yeah, bro.
She wanted to protect me by calling the police, but she also didn't want him to hurt me if she did try to call them.
Cut the light back on.
As soon as he saw that she was terrified, he ran for the back door. Luckily, it was locked because my mom has always been a paranoid person, so she always locks the doors. He screamed at her to let him in, or if she didn't, he'd find a way in and kill us both. My mother told him to fuck off, which enraged him, and he pulled out a pocket knife and began bashing hard against the windows. I was still oblivious to what was happening, as I just thought it was my dad. I was very young. My mom frantically grabbed me, and I don't mean picked me up. She literally grabbed me off the sofa and booked it up the stairs. We were backing up in the upstairs hallway, looking for anywhere to hide, when my mom's younger brother popped out of his room with his headphones on. My mom didn't even realize he was home, and he clearly didn't hear the commotion downstairs because of his headphones. My uncle was 25 at the time and was really well built. He's intimidated a lot of people. My mom cried and told him that there's a guy who's trying to break in. While she's telling him this, that creepy lunatic screamed from downstairs that he was in the house. He said cynically, "Boogeyman is coming out to get you," which really freaked me out. It freaked me out so much that I actually remember that to this day. Anyway, since the guy didn't know my uncle was home, he kept yelling and telling us to come out and that it wouldn't be painful. My uncle told us to lock ourselves in the bathroom and call the police. We did, and after 5 minutes of groaning and blatant violence downstairs, the police stormed in and found the guy bloodied and my uncle on top of him, beating him mercilessly. My uncle really didn't hold back. Turns out that he was a known pedophile, which is why he was watching me for so long while I was watching TV. After that day, my mom was terrified to be home alone at the house. I loved it as a child because I found the running and hiding fun, obviously because I was young. I can never thank my uncle enough for being there at the right time when my mother clearly forgot that he was still home. It honestly gives me chills, wondering what he would have done to my mother and myself if my uncle was not there.
Last time I tried this. There we go, Jimmy. Oh, she talked. I didn't touch you. I didn't touch you. Hell, Mom! Garrett, he's
I work at a pizza joint in Chicago, and I unfortunately have the shitty responsibility of delivering pizzas, usually on the weekends, and usually at night. I've asked my boss for day shifts, but she seems to ignore my requests and give me whatever shifts I don't want the most. I know being a pizza delivery man is somewhat of a dangerous job, but I never imagined anything like what happened to me a few months ago could actually happen. There is this one customer that always calls in and acts strange as hell on the phone. Sometimes he will just hang up on you. Sometimes he'll order pizzas normally, but make crazy sounds while he does, and then hang up. We've always thought this guy was just an idiot playing pranks. He would make really weird comments too, like, "I want to order a large pizza with pineapples, mustard, and your skin." I'll never forget that one. We usually just hang up on his ass now, and we always know it's him calling because his number is saved in our system. So he called again a few months ago and ordered a pizza normally. No bullshit, no weird comments or sounds, and gave his address too. I thought it would be interesting to finally deliver to this guy, and when I drove up to his house, it was something you'd see in a scary movie. An old as hell looking place right on the line where we don't deliver. not in the busy part of the city where most of our orders come in. The house looked like it was about 100 years old, and there were no lights on that I could see. I wasn't scared or anything, just looking forward to seeing what he looked like. When I went to the front door, I rang the bell, but it wasn't working, so I knocked. I realized I forgot the guy's soda and thought he'd give me shit for sure, or just freak out on me. Nobody answered right away, so I knocked again on this big door. He opened up after that second time. He was wearing this weird-looking mask around his mouth. Only his mouth. His eyes were opened wide, and I told him how much the pizza was, and that I was sorry I forgot the drink. He looked down, I think, and then said, "It's okay," and then looked at me again. I stood there looking at him for like 5 seconds in silence when I got bored of his shit and told him the amount again. He said okay, and then asked me, "Has anyone ever attacked me before?" I told him no, and if they did, they'd be sorry. He then took off his mask that was covering his mouth, and he had big-ass scars all around his mouth. I have no idea what they were from, and can't even imagine what they might have been from, but he looked seriously messed up. He smiled at me, and his lips were all cracked. I noticed he wasn't about to hand me some money, so I told him I was leaving. I turned around and started walking down the steps, and he screamed at me and slammed the door. This bastard was crazy, and I don't think any of his shit was to be funny. That final scream he gave me was creepy as hell, even though I kind of expected him to do something like that. He has called several times since then, and we always just tell him now that he is on our no delivery list. He usually just screams and hangs up, or cusses out whoever is on the phone. I was on summer break and went camping with my friend and his parents. We went to the lake during the day and did the s'mores thing.
How get up? I am musty. So nigga! No. And this is the one that gave me nightmares right here.
At night, his parents shared a tent while my friend and I had our own. I can't remember where the campsite was, and
It was at this part. Right here.
not really in contact with my friend anymore.
Nah.
But 15 years later, I'm assuming it wasn't the safest place to camp. Here's why. I woke up sometime in the early morning, like 3 or 4 a.m., and immediately saw a man's face looking in the tent at us. He had unzipped the door just enough to stick his head inside. He looked absolutely insane. He had big eyes and wild hair. I was so stiff from fear, I literally couldn't do anything. The man kept moving his head from left to right, very, very slowly, as if it was uncontrollable. I guess my friend could hear me breathing loudly or something, because he woke up too. He had the same reaction as me, and just laid there in terror, looking at this mysterious man. I'm not certain how long he was sitting there looking at us, but it felt like hours, shaking his head back and forth. At some point, we heard a noise close by, and so did the man. He disappeared quick, and a couple minutes later we got out of our tent and woke up his parents. The guy was long gone. I'm still afraid of camping to this day.
I had my eyes closed. I was not about to see this again. Oh my God! What you looking for? My man, my clothes.
A few years ago, I was driving from Texas to Louisiana to help my dad move when I stopped at this tiny, crappy motel right off the highway. It was very late at night, and it was the only option option I could see. I don't remember the person who checked me in at all. I was so drowsy I could barely keep my eyes open. All I remember is sitting on the bed, kicking off my boots, and noticing that my room was connected to another room. I saw that the lock on that door was turned to the right, which looked like the locked position to me, and I fell backwards and passed out on the bed. At some point, I turned my body and laid on the bed fully. I don't remember when or how long I had been sleeping. Then, I was awoken in the most terrifying way imaginable. A sharp object was stabbed into my back. I screamed and rolled off the bed. I looked and just barely caught a glimpse of what looked like a very skinny man with long, greasy hair run through the door that connected our rooms. I was taken to the hospital after I ran into the parking lot screaming, and the paramedic removed a letter opener from my back. I never returned to the motel, and I have no idea what happened or who it was. When I was a little girl, my parents took me to visit my grandmother. She lived in a little village in the countryside. Her cottage was very small and there was only one bedroom. My grandmother slept in one bed. My parents slept in the other, and I had to sleep on some cushions on the floor.
Why you keep? Can you keep my headphones, bro?
My nephew love me.
Move up, move.
We stayed there for a few weeks and I was troubled by terrible nightmares. Every night, I would wake up screaming. My parents tried to calm me down and ask me what was wrong. All I could tell them was that there was a man coming to get me. I can still remember the cause of my terror. Every night, I saw a shadowy figure emerge from behind the curtains in the corner of the room. He was a pitch black man. All I could make out was his silhouette. He was tall and he was hairy. I would watch in horror as he came crawling towards me with a sickening slowness. He came up to me and he whispered something in my ear. And just as I was about to scream, he would place a finger against his lips and whisper, "Shush, shush, shush." He tortured me every night to the point where I dreaded going to sleep. As time went on, he began to appear not only at night, but also during the day. One evening, we were all watching TV in the living room, and at some point, I happened to glance to my left. The curtain slowly drew back, and I saw the man standing there, staring silently at me. He raised his hand, put his finger to his lips, and whispered, "Shush, shush, shush." I let out a horrified scream and immediately told my mother what I had seen. She got up and went over to the curtains, pulling them back and forth, showing me that there was nothing there. But of course, by then, he had already disappeared. When the holiday was over, we went back to our apartment in the city, and the nightmare stopped. After that, my grandmother would always come visit us. So we never went to her cottage on a vacation again. As time went on, I stopped thinking about the man and eventually forgot about him altogether. One summer, when I was 13 years old and my little brother was 5 years old, we went to stay with my grandmother again. My parents were in the kitchen, having a cup of tea with my grandmother. They asked me to get my little brother ready for bed. When I was preparing a mattress on the floor for both of us to sleep on, my little brother was sitting on one of the beds. I noticed that he was being usually quiet. When I looked up, I saw that he was staring at something. "What's wrong?" I asked. Then suddenly he jerked his head around and looked at me, his eyes wide with fear.
Let me have my headphones.
He looked at me, pointing
curtains. The shush man is standing there. Needless to say, my brother and I spent the night sleeping in the kitchen.
You went my
Never went to visit my grandmother's cottage.
I just want the headphones.
Even though he be mean to me sometimes.
Hallows Eve Nightmare. Submitted by Zara Leaks.
Thank you very much. The bathroom light
back
what
in
now?
late 2015.
Nice.
I hosted a sleepover with two of my friends,
Alright, y'all.
Scarlett and May.
Know what I'm saying?
He was timid
Gotta
and
end the
jumpy.
video right here. And make sure y'all have a great day. If you have nightmares, make sure you comment down on my video. Know what I'm saying? Cause I'm probably gonna have 1 or 2. And yeah, well that's all. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next video in the future.
Make a watch video.